Ladies and gentlemen, what is left of the teen grid? That's the question I'm going to spend the next few minutes going over. If you don't want to watch the full thing, the short answer is not a lot. But let's go through this. So one of the first things that probably most people are familiar with is the starting area. There was the tutorial island. There's also the bus that goes through some of the areas. This starting area is where a lot of us would meet other people. We would come here, and a lot of the times it would be trolls, people just trolling and being kind of jerks, but sometimes you would find new people. And so this area really hasn't changed too much. It has certainly gotten a little prettier. But one of the differences that I notice, and this is because I have a screenshot, is that there's no longer a back to these seats. These seats originally had a back to them, so they changed that. And obviously this area is a little bit prettier. So the other thing that's missing from here is the Nyx Bazaar. The Nyx Bazaar, for those of you who don't know, was a open-air shop on the teen grid, just located right over here across from the welcome area, where you could come and look at a bunch of stuff, freebies, lots of, say, multi-tools, outfits. You could get a furry outfit there, you could get some sort of Lamborghini or Porsche that you would then immediately take and bring to a sandbox and try out. It was fun just to go through there and explore, and at the time, there was so much stuff there. You would go there one day, and you would only look at, say, a certain amount of it, and then you go back the next day and find something that you completely overlooked, but it was really awesome. A lot of these things were like, say, raving belts, things that were very colorful. So let's keep going here. Phoenotopia. That's no longer there. That was another popular hangout spot. Let's go with Eden. Let's see, is Eden still there? It's not. The weapons testing sandbox. That's no longer there. The weapons testing sandbox was actually really fun because you had a bunch of people basically there trying to grief each other, and a bunch of yellow submarines would be spawned in, and it'd be a game of trying to run away from them. Trust me, I did that quite a bit. So I can go to the sandbox. There is still a sandbox here. And if you're familiar with the teen grid before, this is a little upsetting what you're seeing here. And you can go here still. Now this next one, Embera Hide Spot. This one requires a little bit of explanation. It's not going to teleport me anywhere that you might recognize. But right here used to be an army base. And so me and the Disciples of Ragnos, we used that base a little bit, and so this hiding spot is a place where you could teleport in and get the jump on someone during one of the fights. So if you were on the teen grid, you probably saw this. It's this kind of horror hotel kind of thing. And if I go to the map, you'll be like, where's the teen grid? Yeah, it got moved and basically put with its corresponding main grid counterpart. So one of the things we do, and it's still done to this day, is that we go up to almost the limit of the sim and build there so that we wouldn't have to run into anyone. Here's another landmark here, good stuff, Eros. That's no longer there. So the Hidden Tree Village was a Naruto RP and fighting area. So you go there with your Naruto avatar and you would fight it out, because why not? Now this one's personal to me, Ryo's home. Now he had a home in this snowy region here, and it's gone. Ryo was a good friend of mine, even though he one time put some objects in the Nyx Bazaar and actually made it cost 1 linden. And I was angry at him for that, because I really didn't have a lot of lindens back then. And so he actually gave me a landmark to his house. He had a house, it was here. It was a nice little house. One of the few sims remaining is the Digital Wave Sandbox. And you'll notice there the error message was you do not have access to that. So let's look at what is still here while I've got this up. So obviously the little main stretch of island is still here. Tutorial Island is one of the very few sims left on top of the main island here, because it is a Linden sim, and you can still go there actually. And still here, pretty much how we all remember it. And it is, yeah, still working. So let's go through here and look at some more stuff. Tutorial Island, of course, has a sandbox, so some people go there to test out things. Alright, let's go over here into this one. So this is Digital Wave, and I apparently visited there because I have a landmark. But Digital Wave apparently set their sim to private or a group membership or something, and so I can't visit. Another one that's still there is the Seminole Islands. So a bunch of campuses wanted their own sims on Teen Second Life, so obviously they could entice us to go to their college. But there's this one, and there's a few organizations like I4U Alliance. So this is another college campus. You can come here. Now, something that I adore about some of these places is that they do have clubs among their virtual campus. They do have some fun things. Like there's this club here, Be Respectful. Yeah, we weren't exactly that as teen gritters. Free stuff. What's all this free stuff? Clothing upstairs. That's actually rather nice of them. Okay, so let's continue exploring. So now this one is one that I'm a little upset about. This one you cannot visit. Virtual North Manhattan, Virtual Manhattan, you can't go there. It's one of those that you do not have access to. Even more frustrating is that it just kicks you out and resets your map. This one I am very curious to try and get on. Mystery Mind Lab. I cannot find anything about this online. Mystery Mind Lab I so badly want to visit and just see what this place was about. But when you try and visit it says, well, no valid parcel could be found. So, I think I'm just not allowed. Okay, this one still works. This is ECPAT. If I teleport over there, it'll give us a quick little display. This one right here, Citywide, I want to visit this at some point, but I don't have access. Mystery Mind Lab I want to visit. And then there's this one, which I really don't want to visit, because it looks like there's absolutely nothing on there. But if you try and visit, I don't have access. Okay, so let's continue on. So, Epic was an island, and that's no longer there. The Youth for Christ Association, or Youth for Christ, they had their own island, and that's no longer there either. Fun fact about Youth for Christ is that if you attended their events, you would basically be paid to attend, so it's kind of like paying you to go to church. So, I mean, it was cool. Alright, so let's go over here. The Gravity Space Station. It's no longer there. So, let's go to this part right here. Because if you go to any parts of the Teen Grid, there's really no mention of it, except for here. And I found this by accident. It says, Teen Grid. Welcome to the former Teen Grid. This content formed the core of Teen Second Life from 2005 to 2011. After which this formerly parallel world was merged with the world that exists today. This right here is a teleporter thing, so it'll teleport you around. And, of course, based off of Doctor Who. So, going on to what's still here, the Great TSL Highway. Now, obviously this is still here because this is Linden owned, and Linden can keep whatever they want. So, here's the racetrack here. And you can, of course, take that cart there and spawn it and run around. And then come over here and spawn it here, and then make your way down the Great TSL Highway. So, let's go and look here. Now, this is a New Rome base, or I'm nearby one, I should say. This isn't exactly here. I don't know why it sent me all the way over this way. But this is a new Rome base that is a little unfinished. Let's go over this way. This one is a little better. This one's much prettier and finished, so it's a little nicer to look at. And this is from the Teen Grid days. New Rome was one of the more popular SLMC groups. You see here, to be cleansed, that is the fate of all mutants. The armor that these guys made was really, really nice, and I believe that was one of the draws that made it so popular. So, one of the other places that you might see if you looked at some screenshots is this area here, and this one got moved to the main grid. But you'll be familiar with it because it's a rather iconic place. The lighthouse. I actually didn't know this was here until a few days ago. I thought it was just destroyed, but here it is. And now let's go back to the city part on mainland. This is where Hart's club was. Or my friend Hart's house. This is in the city part of the Teen Grid, and now there's absolutely nothing left of it. And if you look around the city here, absolutely nothing is left of the Teen Grid days. Pretty much everything here on this main strip has been bought, resold, bought, and all of the original buildings from us on the Teen Grid have been destroyed. Even out here on the rest of this grid here, they've all been bought and resold. If you go down the Great TSL Highway, you really won't recognize any buildings. I think the only buildings that are left from the Teen Grid are these New Rome outposts, which is rather sad. It makes me wish that Linden, when they merged the grids, that they should have taken a snapshot of the entire grid from 2010 or 2011 and just kept it like that. And then occasionally bring it out for all of us Teen Gridders to go back and see what our grid was like before our grid had a bunch of adults in it. Because if you go to the city now, all the buildings are from the main grid. There's no Teen Grid buildings left. Now, don't get me wrong. Our buildings weren't that great. Of course, we were all teenagers with not a lot of experience in building, so our buildings were pretty primitive and basic. But they were ours. All the stuff made on Phi Folin Sims, all the stuff made in the places where we hung out, it was all made by us. I have buildings that I have made for friends. I have an old church that I made back then, and they look terrible nowadays, but we made them. I wish they had done more. I wish they had preserved more of the culture, more of the Teen Grid, because right now there's very, very little left. And this was our grid. This was where we all spent countless hours, hundreds of thousands of hours between all of us just building and goofing around. And all of our motivational posters, our crappy memes at the times, all that should have been preserved. Granted, not exactly all of it, if you know what I'm saying, but, I mean, there should have been something. The fact that there's not anything commemorating the Nyx Bazaar is sad. Because even though what we had wasn't great, the Nyx Bazaar was such a vital thing for us. We spent a lot of time there just goofing off and trying on new things and making new outfits. And the Knicks Bazaar was just one of those big important things for us. And the fact that there's not a sign, not a mention, just nothing that this was here is sad. They should have done something. I wish, if they've still got the data, I wish that Linden Lab would take a copy or a snapshot of the teen grid, go a little bit to the right, and just paste the teen grid as it were from 2010, 2011, so those of us teen gridders could go back and see what it was like back then. I would really enjoy that, and my old friends from that time would really enjoy just having that blast from the past. Alright, well, that's been me for today.